Hi, this is John Rediker, Goshen's K-12 Technology Coordinator, and I'm here to help you understand how we can set up the technology to help live stream your lessons out to your school. Whether they're in home or at school, it's a tough new way to think about approaching instruction, especially when we have to connect in two ways for our students. So I want to help you understand some of the basics on how to do that, and I'll get you through some of the tech setup as well. I'm here in Charles Doyle's classroom in C.J. Hucker Middle School trying to get set up for you, and it's a great setup to try to explain some of these things. So the first thing that I like to start with is a webcam experience. And if you have an all-in-one desktop, it literally is an all-in-one. Many of us are used to having a Chromebook or a laptop at home to be doing this, but a little secret for some of these machines is that there's actually a built-in webcam on the top. And if you find the little center part, there's a webcam and a microphone that will pop up for you that are built into this system. So it may happen that based on your furniture and your setup is that perhaps the webcam and the Bluetooth is not necessary if you're in a small space, or if you are in a spot where you have a good wide angle on the classroom so that your webcam is in a good spot for you. I would just want to highlight then, if you're not going to use that, how to go ahead and use some of these other tools. So we have purchased webcams for you. We also purchased Bluetooth headsets. I want to highlight though that if this Bluetooth headset is not that comfortable for you, or if it's not convenient for you, or if you have just another preference, our Bluetooth headsets can integrate with anything. So if you have a set of AirPods, or maybe over an in-the-ear, like earbud type system that you might prefer, that may be helpful. But we do think that having a microphone closer to your mouth may be more helpful for communicating with students in a remote environment, especially when we're teaching with masks, when there are in-school opportunities to present lessons. So I want to make sure that you understand that you do have some flexibility there. If you don't need your Bluetooth headset, just let us know. Let your tech people know in your buildings. We can collect it. This doesn't need to be there as an extra piece in your classroom. We can use it if something breaks or whatever in the future. But it is there for you if you need it. So thinking about your computer and your monitor up there, the very first thing to think about is I would be concerned about your interaction with students at home on computers. So you may want to think about actually twisting your computer to face the other direction, and I'll highlight that later in this video, but I think that might be an important thing to think about so that you can actually see your computer, because right now I've got a bunch of shelves behind me. The shelves don't need to see that computer screen, but I need to see what's on the computer screen in this case. So we don't often do that when we're thinking about presenting lessons for kids. We set things up and then we go up and use the computer screen up on the New Line or Smartboard, but it's something that you may want to consider as you think about your classroom setup. Let's switch over to a screencast. All right, so I'm using the built-in microphone here. I told you there were shelves behind me, but I'm using the built-in microphone and webcam that's that's on the device, on the computer, the all-in-one that I showed you with the little pop-up in the past. And I'm gonna set up a Google Meet here and see how we wanna connect. Actually, before we do a Google Meet, let's set up our audio for this. So instead of using the built-in microphone, let's think about our audio. Underneath my video on the desktop, there's a little blue Bluetooth icon, and I'm gonna go ahead and click the Bluetooth icon, and I'll say show Bluetooth devices. So I'm gonna show Bluetooth devices. If you're using your own Bluetooth device, you can click on add Bluetooth or other device, and that will allow you to pair your device. And all you need to do to pair them is pretty much hold down the power button. Typically there's a light, like a red and blue light that flashes that will prompt you to pair your Bluetooth device. So if you wanna do that, you're welcome to do that. You will notice that this one is already connected. So the power button on these is right here at the end of the microphone. And if I hold it down, it will turn it off. The lights will turn red, and it'll say it's not live. It says it is paired but not connected. All right, it says the battery is there too. These do charge on a USB charger. So just like having a cell phone charger of some kind, it is actually a micro USB. So Android devices may have that same charging cable. But you can either plug that into your computer if there's an extra port, or you can plug that into a dongle in the wall to keep this charged overnight. We haven't tested the length of battery on that yet, but I would definitely charge it at the end of a school day. Hold the power button down to turn it on. Lights will start flashing on the device. I've got some lights here, and it says it's connected to voice and music. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and connect this and use this. So now I'm running with this audio here. Yeah, I actually had to go up to Screencastify and change the input on this so that it would pick up this audio instead of the built-in camera, because that's where I started with you guys. So I did that quick switch. I just had to stop my Screencastify video, and then I could go and change the input, and I'll show you how to do that very briefly here when we go to a Google Meet. So there's going to be a way we're going to connect through the portal of Google Meet, and Google is coming up with a lot of updates pretty shortly about things that are going to be available, like breakout rooms and different things in Google Meet. So stay tuned for some updates about that. I'll be sure to let everybody know. But for right now, I'm going to go to just meet.google.com. You can engage with the Meet so many different ways now. You have Google Meets that are built into Gmail. If you have a question, you want to talk to me, you can actually just ring up a Google Meet right from Gmail. If you have if you're using Google Classroom with your students, well, when you're using Google Classroom, you can set them up as well in there. But what I want to talk about with you here is that probably we'll set up Google Meets, at least at the secondary level, through Google Calendar, because then the kids can enter in and select the one that they want to be on. Okay, here we got a hand sanitizer. We have things going on in this classroom, right? And this built-in, oh, sorry, that's not even the built-in webcam. Check this out. It actually picked up by default the webcam over here in my hand. So I'm actually using two cameras right now. This one's plugged in through USB, and I've got the one that's built in. The way you can change that is very simple. It's also the same way you'll change your audio input. You're going to come down here on this preview screen to your three buttons or your three dots. Sometimes you see dots on the internet. In Chrome, you see dots next to your browser up in the top corner this way of your screen. You also have dots sometimes it's almost like an ellipse, like there's no more to be said. When you're writing, dot, dot, dot means like there's more to be said. I didn't say it here. It's almost like that in the computer. It's like there's more details back in there. So I'm going to click on more options, and I can come in here and change my settings and just verify that I'm using the right settings. So because I've already used this computer, it remembers that I wanted to use my Bluetooth headset. But if I didn't, if I just wanted to use the built-in microphone, I could choose the default, the microphone that's built in. The headsets that we got are MPOW brand, so MPOW, and so that is what you would select for the headsets that came from the school district. I don't need speakers right now, so I'm not concerned about that to listen. But I might want to change that here to headset, because that means if a student at home asks a question, it'll come through the speakers. If I switch it to my headset, then this is my speaker, not my computer speakers on my desk or the new line board or anything like that. So that is a helpful tool to know. And then over here on video, I would just change whichever webcam I wanted. This is the integrated webcam that I'm in up here in this corner. And the Lenovo is the webcam that's connected to my computer via USB. So there I am. I've got my audio is set up on my MPOW, and my speakers are my MPOW, or maybe they're going to be your AirPods or whatever that might be. My video is my Lenovo webcam that's tied in, because I want to see a wide angle. The kids can see me teaching or see what I'm manipulating in my hands. If I want to show students at home what I'm doing, that's available to do as well. These webcams actually have a little, just a pressure bracket. You can hook up a screw like on a tripod. So I've got a little tripod too. You could screw that in if you wanted to, or you could just pressure fit on something else. You can figure out where you want to put this, but this is a sort of just a pressure fit mold. So if you have somewhere that you want to hang it, you could even probably put it upside down, and do a document, right? If you wanted to have some sort of mount for you and you want to do a document, you could have that showing for students as well. So I'm going to switch this over here. I'm going to leave that going. I've got that webcam and I'm ready to go. And I'm going to join my Google Meet. All right, so again, ignore this video of me at the top, because I am just sort of talking you through some of these things, but think about the Google Meet now with your students. All right, so they're going to enter, whether it's through a link or through Google Calendar or through Google Classroom, or you're going to do a personal invitation. They're going to enter your classroom. And I have content that I want to teach them, right? So I'm going to say, let's say that I want to go through a website with them. I want to talk about, this is a good one. Let's say I want to talk about Common Sense Media. Okay, so I want to go through a lesson on Common Sense Media, or I want to do a Google slideshow or something with my students. What I want to do though is a little tricky. If I do a screen share and present my screen, right, as a entire screen, then I'm going to miss them. And maybe you saw this in our distance learning program in the spring. Where did my chat go? Where did my kids go? All I can see is my screen. I can't see enough. Well, a couple things to think about. Number one is that you can pull down a tab or open a new window right out of your Chrome browser. I just clicked the tab and pulled it out. And I'm going to go, instead of minimize or close, I'm going to use the Windows Tiler button there at the top. You can do the same on a Chromebook. And I'm also then going to do this one too with my Google Meet, because these are giant screens and these all-in-one computers. And what I'm going to do is pull this over to the left side or the right, either way, until my mouse touches, and you'll see a box shows up around my desktop, and I can let go. And what will happen is it snaps to just side of the screen, and then this one I can choose to go on the other side of the screen. So what's really cool about that is that now I can go split screen, and I can present this to, but what I want to present to the kids at home is just a window. I don't need my entire screen, although I can do my entire screen if I want to show it to them. So I'll still be able to see them in the chat or in the group in the class if I do that, because I have a sidebar screen and I have this screen. And so if I split my screen like this, it's a pretty good solution. So if I do entire screen, that'll work great. If I don't want to do that, I can just choose to share a window with them. So I'm going to say I want to choose a window, and I'm going to choose common. Here's the title and the little thumbnail of that image. I'm going to choose Common Sense Education. And what I can do if I'm just presenting that now is that the students in the webcast will see just the Common Sense media. And as I scroll and do things on this website, it will also show up to the kids at home. Now it gets tricky, because what if I'm working up on my screen? So I want to move and show you what it looks like to go up on the screen, and I want to think about that. I've got kids on the screen that now are seeing split screen, and it's maybe not big enough for them. I want to use my new line board or my smart board. So the key thing here is that you can press Windows P. So there's a shortcut on your keyboard. There's a little Windows icon. It's down by the space bar. Windows P pulls up a menu item, and you can actually, instead of duplicating your screen, normally we are on duplicate. And so if you look up at my screen, right, in that screen, now I'm duplicating my screen and you can see everything up there. And that's not great for kids. It'd be very distracting. So I want to click on Extend. And now instead of having my screen up there, what I can do is take this whole window of my Chrome or whatever application I'm using and slide it over to that screen, and I can still go full screen and show kids that whole thing. Keep in mind, this is still, my Google Meet is still presenting that screen to the students. So if I scroll and interact with it, it's still showing up there. So that is a very helpful tool to think about. But what am I going to do, right? I have a webcam that's out, you can see it here, over there. All right, I've got a webcam, and the kids can see that. But what am I going to do to really make this a great lesson? I still need to see the interaction from my students. So you may want to think about, making sure that you're on a tile or a different view, so you can see your different layout and you can see the kids or whatever. So I like tile view a lot. You can go to this tile view if you want as well. Google's coming up with a bunch of new updates for that. But you may just actually need to physically move the screen. And if you physically move the screen and come over and do your lesson, now you can be in front of the classroom. Here's my webcam. I've got this now rolling for me as well. I can be in front of the classroom giving a lesson about common sense media, digital citizenship, and everything else, but I can still see interaction with my students here. So if I have my keyboard and my desktop here, as well as a split screen, then I can actually share it to them. I can share it to my students in class. I can share it to my students at home, because I extended that screen and I'm sharing the window through Google Meet. They can hear me clearly with a mask on because I have a Bluetooth headset. And I also have a nice opportunity for a good webcam to show them what I'm looking at from somewhere else. So to think about this tool, you may or may not need it based on what you have built in here. You may or may not need this based on what you have in your own possession. But these are all great tips and tools to think about how you can engage your students with in-person and remote instruction. Please let me know how I can assist you. It's my pleasure to help, and I'll be around to help anyone who needs it, and we'll be in touch soon. Have a great start to the school year.